on reduction in force. I move to enter in a public hearing on reduction in force.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Drake, second by Anderson. Mr. Munda.
Yes.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Drake.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Okay, so this hearing pertains to the proposed reduction in force of teachers based upon economic necessity. The hearing is required by law because the board is considering the honorable dismissal of more than 5 teachers in the district. The hearing will consider the superintendent's report on the economic need for the proposed reductions and the teaching positions to be affected. Following Dr. Algrim's presentation, members of the public who wish to speak on this issue may do so. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Algrim.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. I'd like to address some of the issues regarding the proposed reductions in force. Many of you know that for the past 2 school years, Warren has experienced significant deficit budgets. And this year's budget projected at $3.1 million deficit budget. We've looked at the deficit relative to our annual strategic planning indicator of maintaining an annual balanced budget and have realized that significant budget cuts would be necessary. Operating in the red for too many consecutive years obviously is not a good thing in terms of the financial future of the district, and so we realize we need to address that. This fall, the Board of Ed went through several significant planning sessions to try and do what was possible in regards to some other non-personnel related costs in the operating funds to help offset such a significant budget reduction. And modified some of our budgetary items for future years. But obviously, staffing is our primary expenditure as a school district, and oftentimes we need to save money in those areas as well. Many of you may know, some may not. Since 2012, the high school district has been on a steady enrollment decline, and we've lost nearly 500 students than our enrollment just 6 years ago. This significant reduction in our enrollment also caused us to realize that while staff reductions are always difficult, aligning our staffing plan with our enrollment is pragmatic and responsible and financially, at this point in time, necessary. That 500 students is obviously more than 10% of our student enrollment, so it's a very significant decline in terms of our student body. For a few years now, the administration has been aware that we had a significant number of retirements anticipated from the district in span of years from 2017 through 2019, particularly following this school year, the 17-18 school year. We were able to take advantage of natural attrition of retirement positions by not filling them and some other resignations and leaves. And our purpose there, our goal was to minimize the direct job loss for our current staff members for the following year. The board allowed us the flexibility of trying to work through this process because we, again, wanted to avoid the reduction on our current staff members that we were training, knowing that we had a number of retirements coming up, particularly following this year. Overall, for next year, we've accounted for 14 of the 18 certified positions that are being recommended for being reduced without direct job loss to our current staff due to that attrition process. In determining the particular positions to reduce, there's a number of factors that we consider, such as taking advantage of retirements in particular departments, maintaining a degree of equity within our academic departments, and accounting for some decline in non-classroom positions that are school-wide as our enrollment declines. For this year, we've identified 4 Group 3 reductions in force, or RIFs, in the area of science, librarian, social studies, and special education. We still have over 5 months until the start of the school year, and all the individuals that will be identified have recall rights. In addition, tonight we also have 2 Group 1 RIFs that we're recommending. These are generally positions that are for 1-year positions without recall rights. So I did want to give the board and the public a little background on our financial situation, as well as our enrollment decline as it pertains to our unfortunate need to recommend some RIFs this year.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Algren. So we'll now open this hearing to comments from the members of the public. As always, members of the public are expected to state your name, address, and organization you're representing. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless there is a large number of people who signed up to adjust the board, in which case the time limit may be shortened to give the maximum number of individuals an opportunity to speak. Additionally, please note that this comment period is only on the issue of the proposed teacher RIF. Public comments on other issues will be held until the appropriate segment of the regular meeting following this hearing. So anyone? I've got a number of people that signed up. I'm not sure that all of these or any of these are related to. Is this our list for this? Okay. So I've got a number of people. I won't necessarily call your name, but anybody that would like to come to the podium and state your name and address and make a comment on the RIF issue is welcome to do so.
Hello, my name is Rick, 555 Crystal Place, Gurney, Illinois. I'm representing myself as a public citizen. Also discuss technology educational department over the past 11 years in different capacities. The opportunity to share the rest of students, technology employees. Annually, I'm scheduled to formally share information from the Educational Technology Department and some of the things we do at Tech Academy Plus as well. This year's presentation was scheduled for this evening, was canceled without explanation when the board agenda was released on Friday. I realize educational institutions are facing growing economic pressure and budgets have to be balanced, and the solution is sometimes cuts. I participated in 2 rounds of strategic planning over the past 8 years, and both of those plans addressed the same issue, providing a quality education for the students of Warren Township High School with a focus on technology integration. 1 week ago, I was told by the superintendent, the assistant superintendent for curriculum services, that my contract would not be renewed for the 2018 and 19 school year, as the position of Director of Educational Technology would be part of the budget cut. During the same meeting, I was told I have excellent reviews and this was not a performance-based non-renewal. I believe tonight's board agenda does not reflect the information correctly. Item 165 states that my contract is being non-renewed and I'm being reassigned to a classroom. That is true. But I'm sure the Board of Education is aware that the agenda item effectively cuts my position in this organization, but I'm not sure the public and the community is aware of that. I've been a teacher for over 20 years, spending the last 11 as part of a district team of administrators that help students and staff to do great things on a daily basis. What I don't understand is how a nationally recognized educational technology leader like Warren Township High School plans to move forward without the position of Director of Educational Technology or Chief Technology Officer. As part of the North Suburban Conference for Sports, next year I think we'll be the only school in the conference that won't have a technology director or CTO. The last administrative cut here at Warren Township High School was between the FY 15 and 16 school year. The position of Assistant Director of Educational Technology wasn't filled after a mid-year departure. With the non-renewal of the Director of Educational Technology position this evening, it is apparent the work being done in the Educational Technology Department is not deemed valuable to this organization. In 2018, enterprise networks are under constant attack, and the district's responsibility is to protect the network, protect the data, and protect their users who exchange information on that network. Warren, having had the benefit of Director of Technology, has been an innovator in the Educational Technology Department, witnessed by a BYOD, a one-to-one initiative, the first and second Devil Hack, and technology infrastructure upgrades throughout the years to support over 5,000 students, or 5,000 students and staff members who operate on the network on a daily basis. In closing, it is my sincere hope that Warren students will continue to have access to innovative technologies with the absence of the Director of Educational Technology. I also hope everyone is completely aware that the impact of tonight's decision will have a large impact, or direct impact, on our mission statement, which is, as a reminder, to maximize the growth and achievement of every student through rigor, support, and innovation. Thank you.
next person on the list was Genevieve Sherman. Okay.
Daughter is a 20. I've served on the strategic. At no point the impression. Let me be clear. In a world where digital citizenship is crucial, school library positions are critical. I am also here representing a group of Northern Area High School Library Directors. In just one day, 27 library directors drafted and signed this letter for the board. I have it with me tonight. We ask that you read this prior to making your decision to eliminate a school library position, leaving Warren Township High School with only one full-time certified librarian to serve over 4,000 students. Research has replicated school libraries in by eliminating the library position, this position acceptable to me, librarian, taxpayer. I fear my property values will decline as people realize that our district is under-resourced. I hope you will read this well-researched information from area librarians before you make a decision tonight. I wonder how you can make a data-driven decision to eliminate a high school library position when all of the data from 26 states, including Illinois, suggests that this will negatively impact students. On a personal note, it was Ms. Kulkarni who helped me gather assignments and get books for my child when she was critically ill during her freshman year, and she missed weeks of school. It was Ms. Kulkarni who encouraged her to join academic team and to be proud of herself as an independent, free-thinking spirit. Eliminating this position takes away from Warren Township High School's position as an educational institution of quality. Taking away Ms. Kulkarni breaks our hearts.
Steve.
Decades, my in-laws lived at all of a sudden we started I went educators of accusation. That's why I'm here. Traveling position. I would ask you, part of a student. No librarians or guiding them in whether or not it's SAT.
So there were two more names on here, but they've both been crossed off. I'll read them just in case. Anybody else that would like to speak, just because you didn't sign up doesn't mean you can't speak. Marion Tolba. We will have another open session to speak about other topics on the open session. That'll be coming right up. Okay? And then, looks like the last name might be Navik. Else that would like to? I'll make a motion. I move to close the public hearing on reductions in force to open session.
Second.
Motion by Drake, second
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Walls.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Munda.
Yes.
Mr. Drake.
Yes. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I do have one change, as we need to omit one of the changes on the personnel recommendations, and we need to add another one, so I will amend that as I make that motion. Is there any other changes? So I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Drake, second by Schultz. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Next order of business is recognition. Might have some wrestlers in the room.
We got some wrestlers in the room. I think.
Former wrestler, by the way. Never made.
Wrestling coach.
Janice, start out with a quick movie story, a basketball story. Now, have you guys ever say anything about starting my career? However, if anyone's ever seen the movie Coach Carter, there's a point in time in the movie where the coach sits all his score. That being said, one of the coaches who had a hand in bringing me in,
the guys all graduated from the previous season. Now, at this point in time, he failed to mention any of that information to me. So needless to say, it's like, well, it looks like we're going to have 5 of the best new scorers this coming season. That being said, these 3 gentlemen here went above and beyond in doing that and doing a fantastic besides being with them. Each other's champion of the sectional, and then as well he took 3rd place at state this year. Coming as a freshman and taking a 3rd place at 120 pounds is a tremendous achievement. Besides that, he lessons. Again,
I will real quick, hold on. Congratulations, Coach.
thank you.
When I saw the boys' names up here, I wasn't surprised to see their success already, and
Okay, next item on our agenda is reception of visitors. This is the point in time. If there's somebody in the audience that would like to address the board, again, come up to the microphone, give your name, address. And it looks like we've got a number of different people signed in.
We have this young lady from last time.
Yeah. You just state your name for us, and you get, we'll keep rough track, but 3 minutes again to keep things fair.
All right, my name is Miriam Kova. I'm a senior at Libertyville High School, and I'm the president.
celebrate our
Thank you. I can read the list of names, or if the next person's ready to get up, just state your name.
I'm sure.
Quite all right.
So dear respected board members, parents, and teachers, it's this is your starting in the follow this
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Oops. Good evening. My name is Irshad Khan, 18954 West. As other are considered. Joyful day.
You.
Saeed?
I choose my.
Okay. Khalil? Thank you. Omir Khalil?
I'm choosing this.
Anybody else that would like?
We can hear you. You're fine.
There you go.
Going off of what Homera said about being a Muslim student at Warren, a lot of us have to choose that
Anybody else? Any other open topic? On to the President's report. I would just remind everybody today, Jean is the deadline that anybody that wants to attend the dinner on March 14th. I did send Jean, I'll attend, but if anybody wants to come along, I'd be welcome. It'd be nice to bring somebody along. Okay. Oh, I thought you were going. Okay, great. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, committee reports.
We have a number of committees to report out on, and I suppose we can start by talking a little bit about our last diversity committee meeting, where this is an exciting week for us. We, Ms. Wilson, please feel free to jump in, but on Friday during Teacher Institute, I was going to mention later, but we'll also be having our first student diversity retreat here, facilitated by Ms. Wilson and Roger Moriano. So we're excited about having 25 or 30 of our students join us here in some of those efforts. And so that was the main topic of our last meeting, as well as the fact that we have a follow-up with some parents and adults, kind of in a parent retreat on the 7th of March. So anything you want to jump in there with, Janine?
I mean, I think
That'll be all day, by the way. The staff will be at Eau Plaine most of the day on Friday, but our kids that are taking part in the retreat will be here in the library, so we're really excited about that, and it's come together nicely, and it's going to be a pretty meaningful and fun day, I think, for everyone who's there. Also had an insurance committee meeting recently. We talked a little bit about some dental rates that we had asked for, just to kind of see whether it's worth our while possibly to go to a different vendor with some better costs associated with that. And we also talked quite a bit about our process for making sure that towards the end of March, we start to look at what our renewal looks like for next year. So those were the overarching topics that we talked about at the Insurance Committee. The safety, where we talked broadly about a number of issues. Any of the board members that were there can jump in, but obviously we've talking a little bit about some cameras, talking a little bit about door access and our access to the school. Safety is always a priority of ours. We have some communication coming out later in this week, just reiterating some of the safety procedures and processes we have in place in conjunction with the Gurnee Police Department, who do an awesome job supporting us. So obviously it's a scary time for us with the continued violence in the schools, and we're going to send some message out just reassuring people that, it's obviously always at our highest priority. And yet, we also want to make sure we get some feedback from individuals, including kids that are students here, as to, from their perspective, some things that they may be seeing that we're not seeing. So we're just going to try to reinforce some of the messages that we've had out there.
I think some of the, the complexities that face most of the decisions that, as a school board, we face. Safety is our number one responsibility. When our students come in the building, when they're on our campuses, we have to take that responsibility seriously. And some of the very tragic situations that have taken place have brought to light conversations to really examine what we do here at Warren, what our procedures are. It's unfortunate that those types of things have to happen for those kinds of conversations to be brought up. But sometimes we become comfortable, and we always think it's not going to happen here. But I think the committee that met last Tuesday, I think we really had some really heartfelt conversations about looking at our safety plans, reviewing them, looking at our safety drills, looking at our facilities, first responders. It was a very good conversation that we take very seriously, and there are things that we can improve on, and we will be looking at those areas. But there is no one answer. It's not a matter of this or that. It's a matter of bringing all the pieces together and trying to avoid some very difficult situations. So, I was very happy with the conversation that went on, and I think that's a good opportunity. And as Dr. Algrim mentioned, there'll be some communications coming out to the public about where we're going and what things will be transpiring. Safety is, anybody comes out.
And so the other thing is, it's a moving target. That's the difficult piece, because things change, technology changes, the way things you can do in your building change, and we have to keep up all the time. And it's difficult because it can get expensive, but that doesn't matter. We're still going to invest. We're still going to do it. We're going to invest in a safety expert who specializes in education. Who's going to come in and review both our campuses again, and review and look and make sure we have whatever is the best that can protect, our students, your children, our children, whatever the case may be. So I think it's a full-time job, and we take it very, very seriously, because it's very important.
I would just add great comments. It was a very powerful discussion we had last week on the heels of the events that have unfolded in Florida. I think it's a collective effort, and Dr. Algrim alluded to some communication that's going to come out, but it's the students being involved, seeing something, saying something. It's the community, it's the parents. We've all been inundated with the news and the numbers of signals that were missed and not missed in this last case, but it's definitely a community effort. Nobody's alone in this effort, so we'll continue what we've got, feedback on what we've got. That's all we. What I meant to say at the end of the open, just going to go back a little bit, with the reception of visitors, while everybody is welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the agenda tonight, if you'd like to leave, we won't be offended. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that Nobody's going to keep track that anybody's leaving, but if you'd like to take off, I see some young kids in the audience, so just wanted to make that comment. Yes, and of any.
Do you want to jump in with the start of the solar discussion? Oh,
They're
Rich,
so
some people are taking you up on the, some people are taking, wow. That must have driven them out.
Yeah.
Solar driven them out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jump in, or?
I don't, thunder.
No, it's not my thunder. I wasn't at the little powwow on Thursday, so, but,
So, go ahead, Jim.
no, please, go ahead, John.
Go back to the meeting we had last
Okay,
week. and then we-
Wednesday, we started out, had a really good meeting, and what prompted sudden change in direction, my good friend here to my right, Mike Munda, made an observation about where the planned solar panels were going to be ground-mounted in an area between, I think it was the baseball field and the soccer field, and with his keen sense of observation, and,
My keen sense?
yes, keen sense, we think we might have discovered a different track to take, and it even advanced beyond just that soccer field. While I was not present for that part of the discussion, that's where I'll leave it to my friend here to the right, and Tom, and please take it from there.
So, the solar project, we had Kurt, correct? From
Kurt Hintz.
Kurt Hintz, that came out and made a presentation to us. We looked at the numbers. It gets a little complicated when you start talking about queues and all the financial pieces behind the scenes. But right now, there's a piece of legislation that's coming through that we believe is going to be signed April 1st. And it's an excellent time for us to take advantage of the SRECs, the queues, the bonuses, the financial pieces here, where really taxpayers over the last umpteen years, you've really been paying taxes for solar to be developed. There are millions of dollars that are sitting there waiting to be used. And this is an opportunity for the school district to go after the money that's sitting there that taxpayers have been putting out there. It provides us with an opportunity with our project to put in a solar field on current land that the district owns, that we believe will cover, if the project was reconfigured, we're looking at that solar field will cover 100% of the cost of our electric here at the Allman campus. The project also is on a piece of property that will allow for further expansion of the solar field that we believe then will cover the entire cost of the entire electric bill for Warren Township High School. So with that becomes the elimination of carbon footprints. It will be introduced into our STEM, into our classrooms. There are a number of outreaching programs that the solar will have an impact on, from tracking the number of carbon bits that are released, the number of trees that get saved by creating our own electricity. It's just an endless opportunity. Opportunities as far as careers in the solar field, from designing new panels to working with engineers. It has a wide range of opportunities for our students to engage in that field and move forward. So I could not be happier that we're going to take the next couple of steps here in the next start this endeavor. And we're talking on the way down here that I think as a board, at least for myself, I know this is something that we will leave behind as a legacy, and it'll be a gift that will continue to give back to this community. It will be, it won't be the largest solar farm. Right now, Grays Lake has the largest, but our solar farm will produce more power. It'll be smaller, but will produce more power, primarily because it's going to be on a ground mount. So that's another first for Warren, to stick another feather in our cap, that we will be leading the way with STEM education through solar. And I think that's a fantastic thing, and it's one of the reasons myself and colleagues boards take advantage of opportunities that come forward, make informed decisions, and progress forward. So that's where I'm at. Solar. Colleague to my left, big proponent of putting things on the roof, and if you've been to any of our meetings lately, there's no secret, I did not want to put solar panels on our roof. Not yet, but that'll be down the road, and I will be gone, and another board can make that decision. But right now, we're keeping things off the roof. We're going to have a fantastic solar farm, and we're going to leave behind something that's going to impact this district and this community for years and years to come. And that's about all I have to say about that.
So we're moving to the farther south location that we looked at?
Property that we're looking at to the south, if you're familiar with our property here, we're looking at the land that is directly to the south of Laremont. So if you're out at the boys' baseball field and you go across the street, there's a parking lot. We own about almost 7 acres, just shy of 7 acres of land. And that's going to be the future home of the Warren Township Solar Farm.
Are we is our friend Kurt reworking his numbers, his magic?
I believe.
The numbers have been reworked. So we will have the agreement hopefully for the March 20th board meeting, if that's what the numbers have been reworked. I just haven't seen the documentation yet. So.
There is a time element here, though, right? By the end of March?
Yes. Correct.
Thank you.
So
And one other thing, Mike pointed out the fact that we have all, as taxpayers, been paying all this all along. We pay this on our electric bill. There's a small line item, a very nominal amount of money that comes out of each, that is added to each one of your bills every month. It's negligible on a monthly basis, and that's how it's paid for.
Jim, you just mentioned the timeline by the end of March. What needs to happen?
Okay, there's a minimum amount of what they call SRECs, solar renewable energy credits. That there's a baseline of that, I think 38 cents per rec. But if we're able to do it by the end of March, we get in what is called a queue for projects where we will be able to achieve substantially more credits, which will add to, I think you might have some numbers over there. I don't know if you did or not, but I thought I saw a graph.
Yeah, it's like 2 million, it's like
$2 million.
another $1 million or so you can get back, or
Right.
$2 million.
Versus, I think,
so.
400,000, I think, or whatever it was the first year. So there's a,
So it's a huge incentive bonus for us
there
to
is
get,
get it ball rolling.
those funds as well.
Yeah.
The other nice thing in terms of the ground mounts is it kind of separates, eventually we're going to have a roof project here, right, which it's in our kind of our project list. We weren't sure whether or not we'd need to do that in the summer of 19 or the summer of 20. And when it was tied to the solar project, that's kind of what was pushing us, a month ago. So it's kind of nice that those projects, if you will, are independent and not forcing the issue.
Anything else on?
Thanks, Mike.
We're going to put it on March 20th for sure. That's, yeah.
That'll
On to
be
the-
an agreement with Performance Services to
So this type of thing that we did
proceed.
before, he's redoing all this numbers?
Yes.
You'll email that out in
I
advance?
will. I'll
Thank
get
you.
that to you.
We also had a last policy, we had 2 days and 5 committee meetings there. So we had our policy committee meeting on last week as well. And I just wanted to review for the board, so you don't have to read them, the policies that were reviewed and are up for a first reading here tonight. So it's 7:100, health, eye, and dental exams, 2:260, uniform grievance procedure at D121. 4:10, fiscal and business management. 4:15, identity protection. 4:80, accounts and audits. 4:110, transportation. 4:150, facility management. 4:170, safety. 5:10, equal employment opportunities. 5:20, workplace harassment prohibited. 5:90, abused and neglected child reporting. 5:100, staff development program. 5:200, terms and conditions of employment. 5:220, substitute teachers. 5:240, suspension. 5:250, leave of absence at D121. 5:290, employment termination and suspension at D121. 5:330, sick days, vacation, holidays, and leaves at D121. 6:20, school year calendar and day. 6:50, school wellness. 6:60, curriculum content. 6:140, the education of homeless children. 6:150, home and hospital instruction. 6:280, grading and promotion at D121. 6:300, graduation requirements at D121. 6:310, high school credit for non-district experiences at D121. 6:340, student testing and assessment program. 7:10, equal educational opportunities. 7:15, student and family privacy at D121. 7:20, harassment of students prohibited at D121. 7:70, attendance and truancy. 7:150, agency and police interviews. 7:180, prevention of and response to bullying at D121. 7:190, student behavior at D121. 7:250, student support services. 7:260, exemption from PE at D121. 7:270, administer medicines to students at D121. 7:305, student athlete concussions. 7:340, student records. Those were reviewed and notes were made, and they're recommended for first reading tonight for the board.
On to the superintendent's report.
Carol, do we have a treasury report for January?
Yes, we've got the January 2018 Treasurer's Report. We're continuing to use the 5cast plus monthly budgeting model. I do want to make one correction in the second line of the first paragraph. The monthly actual year-to-date revenue and expenditures are for all funds. So those reports that you see, and they're called either a dashboard, an aggregate financial forecast, or the aggregate financial summary. Now, those are all funds, so I'm trying to get Forecast 5 to break out operating funds for us, and I think that will be in a new enhancement. We've also included the cash and investment report, fund balance report, and balance sheet report. Our trends, we are doing some retrending of revenue. That doesn't affect the actual year-to-date numbers for the prior year or the actual. It just is refining our trends, so we're really forecasting out as accurately as possible where we're going to end up for the year. So our trends seem to be very consistent for both November, December, and January, just trending slightly over budget. So give us another month or two worth of data, and I think we'll have a very good idea of where we will end up the year.
Thanks, Carol. We also had, since our last report out anyway, we had some FOIAs that did come in. We had 3 actually that came in. Mr. and Mrs. Smoron requested some emails regarding their child. We had a FOIA from the Illinois Retired Teachers Association requesting emails and email addresses for teachers and administrators retired, and we had a FOIA from RGB Properties requesting the most recently awarded contract for custodial services. Also in the board's information was our monthly attendance, enrollment, and discipline information. Just a couple of other updates. I already mentioned the fact that on Friday we have a Staff Institute and will be focused on a number of professional development activities, as well as celebrating some of those retirees that are exiting at the end of this school year. We have a student retreat planned for the 2nd, and I mentioned the parent retreat planned on March the 7th. Also, just to update, one thing that we wanted to clarify for the board, there was talk about, the PE law changes and some flexibility schools have. Right now, from a logistical perspective and a philosophical perspective, we like what we're doing. We're not anticipating changes right now as it pertains to waivers or anything of that nature. So there's a number of obstacles and conversations that we'd have to have before we went down that road of making any changes to that. But obviously, those will be ongoing conversations over the next couple of years. And I also wanted to let the board know that in case Carol or Dr. Keeley back there can chime in as well, we haven't talked about the field house process in a while, so we are planning on reflooring the field house with mostly artificial turf, right? Is that correct, Carol, where we're at here? Just want to make sure that the board knows what our timelines are for that.
Yeah, so we've done, Mr. Keeley, Becky Belmont, Mark Pose, and others, Chuck Mauer, have looked over the field house floor. Just a reminder, we received about $406,000 from insurance because of the flood damage, and we would use that to replace the floor. But their suggestion was a turf floor with a Mondo basketball court in the field house also. March 20th, we'll be bringing to the board the costs and approval for using a state buying contract to pay for that. Construction would start, if the board does approve, the pricing would start about May 1st, and we would expect to be done by the end of May, beginning of June. So the pricing, from what we've got so far, is very good pricing, about $200,000. The architect will get us all the documents for the next board meeting, and that would be on the agenda also. So that would also include 2 batting cages, new basketball hoops. What else am I forgetting, Mr. Keeley? That's it. So
What's the reason for like an asterisk? I'm picturing a football field like we've got inside. Is that what it is?
Correct. That field house currently, the floor is in such disrepair, it really can't be used.
roughly probably half the. Oh, not that that would be a primary reason, but it is significantly cheaper.
Sure.
And sometimes, I mean, obviously with that, the field house floor itself was on our original project list anyway. We knew at some point in time we thought we were going to have to invest out of our normal project money, if you will, to replace that. So, obviously there were other things that the flood, didn't help us with, and it took us a while to kind of recover from that. But one benefit will be we'll be able to upgrade that field house over to playing immensely.
So is that going to be turf on concrete, or is there some sort of padding underneath it, or? Okay.
Okay, moving on to new business. The first item of new business was the first reading of the district board policies, which I think you've done. The second
Would you
item.
do that again, please?
Second item is the honorable dismissal of the teachers. So the next resolution authorizing the honorable dismissals of the teachers. The resolution will honorably dismiss the following teachers from employment in the district at the end of the current school year for RIF reasons: Timothy Bianchi, Nicole Domel, Amy Fitzgerald, Dina Gordon, Varsha Kulkarni, and Jessica Lim. Is there any more discussion on this item? The board? I need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll move to approve the resolution of honorable dismissal of teachers as.
Second.
By Munda, second by Schultz. Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Next resolution is authorizing the non-renewal of administrator contracts and reassignment to teaching positions. This resolution will non-renew administrator contracts effective June 30th, 2018, and reassign Rico Diamore and Kimberly Labitz to teaching positions in the district for the 2018-19 school year. Any further discussion amongst the board?
I'll move to approve a resolution, non-renewal of assignment to teachers as presented.
Second.
By Munda, second. Walls?
Yes.
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 Mr. Drake?
Yes.
I have 7 yes. Motion carries.
This is the personnel recommendation today, and we need to amend this, so it will be, I move to approve personnel recommendations numbers 155 through 163 and 165 through 66, and I'm going to add number 167, Hera Pagan, to the position of teacher mathematics at the Allman campus. Oh, I'm sorry, leave of absence, sorry, yes, action was leave of absence.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Drake, second by Anderson. Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mr. Drake?
Yes.
7 yes. Motion carries.
Next one is the bills. I move to approve the payment of the bills for February 27th, 2018 in the amount of $3,476,765.96.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Drake, second by Conway. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
And Mr. Drake?
Yes.
I have 7 yes. Motion carries.
Regular meeting executive session minutes of February 13th, 2018. Roll call.
Motion by Drake, second by Wilson.
Abstain, I was not there.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Abstain, I was also not there.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
I have 5 yes, 2 abstentions. Motion carries.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
By Drake, second by Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
7 yes. Motion carries.